Hi guys! Welcome to the first episode of Bunny Chat. This episode can be a guide of stuff to think about before starting a small handmade business. If there are any business owners who are listening, perhaps you can relate to our issues.
In our first segment, we'll talk about the behind the scenes of what our days usually look like and how time management plays a big role in running the shop.
As the owners of the Okashi shop, we are still working our day jobs as well. I work part-time and Jordan works full-time. Yes?
Loosely full-time, sometimes 70, sometimes 80. It depends.
I would say like 30, 32 hours a week.
Okay.
So outside of that time, we still have to find time to do stuff for the business, which can be very tiring. I work 4 days a week, but then I have 3 days off. But then I have one day that I try to do all my stuff to be a human, whether that's like going to the grocery store, running errands, all that kind of stuff. So now I'm trying to dedicate 2 days to doing my stuff for our business, which has really helped out a lot. But in the past, I literally had to come home from work and then start working on stuff. Then sometimes when we were in the height of selling stuff for conventions, I would wake up earlier before I went to work and sew stuff and then go to work and then continue to sew when I came back from work. It was so stressful.
I think now I'm struggling more with time management. I'm working even more than before, and I'm trying to get my license for work. So I got classes, and then I've got our shop, and then I've got going to work, and then all these other side family projects. So it's just really difficult to try and keep it all together and get time. In recent, I've been trying to make a schedule instead of trying to figure it out as I'm going. Quick thinking doesn't work out.
One of our big time management things is that all of our income, for the most part, for the shop only comes from in-person markets and conventions. Mm-hmm. So we do have to spend a lot of time outside of making things to go to the conventions and sit there and sell stuff.
Yeah. And then taking all that time to also hunt down markets and try to find applications and track the Instagrams of when they're gonna post, or even when we're doing ASIN, it was the both of us on our phones just sitting there staring until they open it up.
Yeah, finding new opportunities is a constant battle because you always have to keep up to date with what's going on, and a lot of the conventions and markets open up months in advance. So if you didn't sign up for this convention 8 months ago, you're not going to be in it.
Yeah, and then even once we apply, we're just playing the waiting game of when they'll get back to us.
Yeah, we're currently waiting on one right now. We have a convention at the end of the month. We are currently recording in January, and we will be at the Pop Cult Con in North Carolina. It is a tattoo convention. We are currently still waiting on when we're supposed to set up. It is now the 27th. The show starts on the 31st. For the most part, we try to do our conventions together, but sometimes we have to do solo convention. I currently live in Chicago, and Jordan currently lives in North Carolina. So we are running a cross-country small handmade business.
Pros and cons. Pros, we could pick the state that has cheaper taxes and you can cover more ground. Cons, it's just situations when I know that you would be free, I have to find someone local that will come with me to the conventions, and it's not always an option. So it's a give and a take for sure.
Another stressor to worry about when you do a lot of in-person markets and conventions is a lot of the places are extremely disorganized for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Count on our hands the amount of cons we've done that everything was super organized, and we've been doing conventions since 2015, and it is now 2025. If that gives you a feeling about how disorganized things are.
Or when it's a scam.
Yeah, also, there have been a lot of like scam events popping up where people have been like lying about their crowd sizes or like lying about where the convention is sometimes.
Yeah, or doing too much the year after a successful year. We had one convention that was great. Like it was literally perfect. We made a good return. And then the next year they decided to expand like so far. There was probably $20 walking around in that convention and we were all sharing the same $20.
Doing in person markets and conventions and that being our only income, sometimes we do not make back all the money that we expected to. For the most part, we have been successful with at least making back our booth fees, but there is a lot more that goes into prep besides the booth fees that sometimes we have to take the L for.
It's like a lot of like travel fees, food, housing if we have to rent somewhere. So it's a lot of work. And a lot of the times we have to stay up late or get up super early to prepare for the conventions and get everything together leading up to it.
The conventions usually start really early for us to come in, but then we often have to spend a lot of time setting up the night before and getting all of our food and stuff together. Like Jordan was saying, if you want to do this, be prepared to stay up late and have to then turn around and wake up early.
And then some of the conventions have like food restrictions. And I never know if that applies to artists. Is we'll sneak I don't know if we should say this. We'll bring our lunch, you know. Like I don't think it's fair to expect artists to just sit there all day and starve unless they want to eat top ramen.
We also sometimes have to worry about like safety.
We don't always stay on the same, like, I guess, hotel complex as the convention. A lot of times we'll get an Airbnb because it's so much cheaper and we have the space to like prep our lunches and park the car without worrying about hotel fees and all that stuff. And we'll be roaming around in cities we don't even know. So we kind of have to stay on our P's and Q's.
And we get anxiety about leaving our things in the car when we go to sleep.
Oh my God. The one time that we were in Baltimore and we were unloading and we got there so late. So I just like had a brick in the car that we used to hold down one of our displays, and I was announcing to the world, I have a brick. If you want to approach us, I have a brick.
We showed up at like 12 a.m. and then still had to load in all of our stuff.
We didn't even load in because there was no convention. Because usually the day we drive up is maybe one day away, but we came in, I think, the day of unloading, right?
Yes.
And we couldn't unload the car because there was
Yes.
no convention.
Right.
So, and we were in a big city, and I was not about to leave like boxes of stuff in the car for my window to get shattered.
If you want to hear about our scam convention, you will have to follow us on Patreon.
Right, because we don't want to burn book ourselves. So if you're curious,
It was wild.
right, you want to hear about all of our wild stories, even in our personal life, check us out on Patreon. Give me your money.
Another thing to worry about is staying healthy. We go to a lot of conventions that are around the US. For the most part, we still stay within the East Coast, Midwest area where we live. Traveling, we often drive. Most places we haven't flown anywhere yet.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to spend a lot of time making sure we can still have quality meals and we're not like eating McDonald's and stuff all the time because like that can really weigh on you after going from convention to convention to convention. You just
Right.
want like a good salad.
I know, like please, one green leaf. Oh, and then that one time that we were trying to find a gas station, but we were in like the boonies and there was nothing open and we just wanted some food and some gas. So if you're driving to conventions, please pack snacks and think about It might say it's 10 hours away, but go on and tack on like 2 or 3 more just in case.
We like to make time to stop, not stopping on long distance driving. It's just torturous for us. We have to like stop and stretch our legs and like walk around and stuff like that. So if
Yeah,
we
I can.
don't, I will go insane for sure.
Clawing at the walls, let me out. Also, another thing, I have endometriosis, so the fatigue is fatiguing. And I did not want to do anything all of last week. And on top of like working, us prepping for a convention that will not get back to us. And then trying to keep everything organized and like refilling all our merchandise. It's just weighs a lot on you when you're a chronic ill girly and all you want to do is rest. But luckily, we have long breaks in between. Like we'll go on a hiatus if needed, and if we don't get into conventions, sometimes it's okay. We'll just try and like redo our stock and take it easy. Because I remember the first year that we kind of got back into conventions after everything had shut down. What did we do? Like 8 conventions in one year or
Yes.
something?
In 2023, we did 8 conventions.
And that was the most we've ever done. And it was traveling, driving. I think we went all the way down to Florida, and then we were all the way in Chicago, and we went all the way to like Pennsylvania, and we were all over the place. So we definitely have dialed it back a little bit. I think us focusing in like all the conventions in our 2 locations and targeting those the most have helped a lot, especially with the cost of travel. Because I feel like airplanes are like soaring. A big reason that we drive is that we basically pack our entire house in a car so that we have everything we could possibly need.
We also are now spending more time looking into conventions before we go.
Oh,
For the
yeah.
most part, our first year of traveling for conventions in 2023, we kind of just like applied to a whole bunch of conventions and just went to whatever we got accepted to, which is not the move in our
Mm-mm.
opinion. So
Mm-mm.
now we've been doing a lot more research on what conventions are worth it and which ones are not. For the most part, we only do anime conventions, but we are now trying to branch out into artist markets and tattoo conventions.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody has any suggestions on where we should go, please let us know in the comments. And then I don't know if anyone can relate to this, but traveling a lot and sleeping in a lot of different places. I'm one of those people who can't get a good night's sleep when I am not in my own bed. So that was a big struggle for me. But I figured out what the issue is I need to have my own like pillow and my own blanket. So once I got that together, now I can basically sleep anywhere we go with the bed.
That's why we got the SUV. We got a packet of our goodies.
When you don't do a lot of hotels and you only do Airbnbs, the Airbnbs are almost like a toss up like each time because we never know really what they have to offer. Because I feel like a lot of the times what they say they have on the website is not necessarily what's there in person each
Mm-hmm.
time. Or the things that you assume that they would have, you think that they would just be there and they're not. So sometimes we didn't have a toaster. Sometimes we had only like 1 or 2 towels that one time. And it was like 3 of
Yeah.
us in the Airbnb. So that was weird. So we have a list of things that we bring when we travel to conventions. So we're not scrambling all the time. And that list is we have a little toaster, we have our own little cutting knives in case we want to cut up fruit or something. Our own little Tupperware to bring places, just in case they don't have any dishes for some reason. If you decide to travel long term to conventions and stuff and you do Airbnbs and not hotels, we would recommend to bring your essentials that you would need in each place depending on where you go because they might not have it. I'll be honest with you. They might not have it.
I
I've
feel
been to
like,
one Airbnb, not when we were traveling, but when me and my husband were traveling, that did not have toilet paper.
oh,
Yeah, let that sink in.
yeah,
They had
you know,
one roll in the bathroom, and that was it. Nothing else.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Honestly, one of the places Greg's my partner, on our anniversary, we went to this Airbnb and I texted them, "Do you have a kitchen?" Because it was listed. It was like a full kitchen where you can cook your meals. We're on the road at this point. The Airbnb host answers, "Oh, it's just like a air fryer." And I'm like, an air fryer is not a kitchen.
That's not remotely the same thing.
It is not. And I'm like, you could have sent all of that. Like, they had technically a sink.
Technically?
There was a sink and there was a refrigerator, and that's what they claimed to be the kitchen because it had a sink, refrigerator, and a microwave, and then like a single knife.
Being a small business, you often have to wear several hats at once. And
Mm-hmm.
that's something that you should keep in mind if you're thinking of starting a business, and something that you know all too well if you already have a business.
Right? We all look like.
So, the things that we do, since we are a handmade business, we make about 90% of our products in house. And I think that will be quickly going to like 100% because we recently just got a printer and a Cricut machine because we would outsource our prints to Staples, but we might not be doing that anymore. So we might be 100% handmade very soon. Woo woo woo! Our several hats are content creation and marketing. We now also have to be basically like influencer YouTuber people, and we
Mm-hmm.
really just want to make products and sell them, but we can't really sell without the internet these days. Wanting to be a handmade artist, forced to be a content creator. Am I right?
I hate to see it. I don't want to be Doug Dimmadome, IG baddie.
Yeah.
Another thing we have to be is our own accountant, essentially. We do recommend you getting an accountant, but you will most likely have to do most of the work yourself unless you can afford all of their fees. We're currently working with our accountant, but they're only filing our taxes. So we have to get everything, all our books straightened out, and basically hand them our books, and then they give our books to the government so that we don't go to jail. And that can get really tricky because you need to track every single purchase you make for the shop. We're running to things now like, oh my God, I forgot we had a subscription for this, or oh my God, our website fees. So we have to keep track of all of that. We have to keep track of our mileage. If we accidentally buy anything on our own cards, we have to keep track of that. Please open a business bank account as soon as you can, like ASAP. It will make your life so much better.
Honestly, if you could just get like a separate account from your personal account, if you're just like a single person, I would
Oh, yeah.
recommend that too. Like, just a place to like separate your money would be great, because then you
Mm-hmm.
don't have to weed through all of your personal transactions and stuff. We are not accountants. This is not accounting advice.
I am
That's a
not an
suggestion.
accountant. Right. Honestly, with everything we say, do your own research, but these are just suggestions, like Ani said. Let me see.
The reason we make our own products for the most part is like the cost and also the quality. We are worried about outsourcing too soon, especially since we only get most of our sales from in person. We have not made it big on the online spaces quite yet, which is why we are trying to have this podcast and do
Right.
more stuff to hopefully grow our business online as well as offline. And we are worried if we try to outsource too fast that we will have a whole bunch of product and it will not be sold. Don't want that. Because we make our own products, our quality is pretty good. I am worried about how much we would have to pay to keep our quality to be the same as it is right now, or even better for our handmade business. So those are our two worries about outsourcing. We were trying to outsource, and I think I would get 25 of our Okashi shop bunny hoodie for $8,000. That's literally so much. I'm gonna try to do the math really quick. For 25 sweatshirts for $8,000, the starting cost for a sweatshirt would be $320. And that's not even counting what we want our profit to be. Just insane for a sweatshirt.
On the topic of like outsourcing and being stuck with merchandise, we outsourced our stickers in the past, and while the quality is really good and the stickers still look really good, I worry about being stuck with these stickers for the rest of my life because we only got 100, and it's nice to always have them on hand because we've been looking into doing like wholesale with local shops and everything, but we pretty much are stuck with these stickers until they sell out. And it was just a couple of designs we wanted to test out. And I don't want to keep ordering more stickers until these stickers are gone because we only have so much space in our studio and our home studios. So it's just like, when is it too much? And if you want to test something out, the less you buy, the more expensive it is. Like the sweatshirts. So that's mainly the reason why we choose to just hand make everything. On the topic of more hats. But yeah, like I went to school for illustration, turned into graphic design. Ani went to school for fashion design, and that's kind of how we came to be. That's how we met, and one of the thousands of hats that we wear is graphic design and building the Instagram posts, building text and font, putting our websites together, and then on top of that, to even get the pictures, we are modeling.
Modeling, styling. Sometimes we did a little set design depending on what the photo shoot was about.
Bullying our friends into being our models. Not bullying, but you know what I mean. Being photographers. I am not a photographer, but we do our best. Oh, and then being videographers for YouTube, for Reels.
Oh, yes.
Content manager, content creation manager. A lot of it is tripod mounting and running before the beep goes off. What is it? Math. I hate math.
So much. We haven't decided to outsource any of this yet either because we do not make enough. Since we do our in-person markets, we also have to design our booth. And each space, get this everyone, if you want to do a lot of in-person markets and conventions, each space is different. And sometimes they lie to you about it too. You might get a 6-foot table and they told you it was an 8-foot table. Or you might get an 8-foot table and they told you it was a 6-foot table.
Or no table at all.
Or no table at all. We have to reinvent our booth at each new place we go to. So it's just constantly figuring out on the go what we want the booth to look like. Since
we sell in person the most, we have to make sure our booth is the most eye-catching, like inviting looking pink space so that everyone will come and spend their money or we don't make any money. Oh, and then you never know who your neighbor is going to be either. So you don't want to like build your booth so big next to them. The risk of things falling over. You have to make sure that everybody can get in and out safely. Ooh, the one time we thought we were on the end, but we were next to a giant column. And we had to adapt the space so that people knew we were there. There's a giant column blocking us from half the venue. So it's a time.
Sometimes we build our own displays. Back in the day, I used to do Deco Den phone decorations. Jordan made me a cardboard phone display with stairs.
Bob the Builder in the house. Sometimes if you have very specific items, like the phone cases we used to also sell flower crowns. I want to bring those back, but we have to figure out how we're going to integrate that in. All of those items are awkward shapes. It is not cheap to buy displays, and it's not cheap to buy collapsible displays. So if you can build, I recommend building because it's always cheaper than trying to find something that you order. And if you build it yourself, you can also like change it because you can take it back apart. So
And currently, we have been selling more clothing items. And most of the time at the markets and conventions, there's not a lot of free space. For the most part, you get a table and you have to keep your table. So I recently figured out a way to make our own clothing rack that sits on the table. And that was fun, but also stressful.
ooh, and then the time we had to make our own little like grab bins because we had all those scrunchy packs. My favorite is when we make our display, go in the next day, and tear it all down and do it again.
Advice: don't be afraid to tear your display down. If you feel like it's not good, do it again.
So after you build your display, kind of look at how the crowd is receiving your items. And if it seems like they are not purchasing something that you know is a big seller, they probably don't see it. Because we had that issue at one convention where we did that and then we took the table apart and rebuilt it, and then those items began to sell because people were noticing them. Ooh, and signs. Bring 100 pieces of paper that are all like a contrasting color with your booth, and those will pop out so well, like any for sale signs or new item, last chance, all that kind of stuff.
Last but not least for us to talk about is the things we struggle with the most. And our one biggest problem out of anything else that we talked about today is consistency. We really struggle with consistency as a business because we live in two separate places. We have two different day jobs. Our lives are fundamentally I feel like different at this point. It's a lot harder to hold each other accountable when we only meet like once a week, and sometimes we didn't even do that.
In recent, we've been really consistent about meeting every Monday, and I think that's helped because even if we like forget completely what we were going to do, it's like a check-in, like, hey, our taxes are due soon. Is that done yet?
Yeah, for sure. Joe and I met in college in 2015, so it's been quite a journey trying to adjust from being a young teeny bopper to being a full-grown adult that is 28.
I'm a 27-year-old teenager.
Basically.
Like, our grown-up jobs are more stressful and the stakes are higher. I feel like before it was just like, oh, it's whatever. But now if I like don't go to work, the government will take my car.
That's real.
And now we have to make money.
Hit it, Joe.
If you want us to come to a convention as a guest, bully the convention into letting us in.
Bully them, bully them.
Right? We've done panels in the past, and we would love to travel around and yap about our problems.
Currently only in the US for right now. We are not international yet.
Not yet.
Sorry if we have international listeners at some point.
Soon.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Unless, But we're working on it. Thank y'all.
That's all the time we have for now. If you are interested in hearing more from us and following our small business journey, please subscribe to whatever platform you are listening to us. Check out our Instagram and our website, okashishop.com. OKASHII.
And if you liked what you heard here today, we'll be posting monthly episodes on YouTube and Spotify, along with bonus episodes on our Patreon.
Thank you so much for listening.
See you next time.
Bye, bunnies.